What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So we are doing some headlights for the pickup. So if you aren't familiar with the channel, this is a 91 Toyota pickup, but I am doing a 92 to 95 4Runner front end. So that's what these headlights are for. So I'm very excited. I got some cool plans for these headlights and I'm about to show you exactly what we're gonna do. So here's everything we got to build these headlights. First thing being a brand new set of headlights, and we are going to do a retrofit. So we have projectors, the light, the bulbs, the ballast, a whole wiring harness to power those projectors, and then we have the shrouds that bolt onto the projectors and a halo that we're going to stick behind that shroud. So one thing I had a struggle finding is a set of headlights that don't have the fluting in the actual lens. I got a stock headlight here, and as you can tell, the lens is actually fluted, which is that all those weird little angled squares that kind of distribute the light. Every aftermarket set I found were the same style as this, and I came across these headlights. So I'll give you the part numbers and everything. These are a Euro spec headlight for the 4Runner. They're made by Depot, and you can tell the lenses are clear other than just a little bit around the edge, which doesn't matter at all. And the fluting is in the actual housing, which is very, very nice. If you do a retrofit with the stock lights, your output is going to be very terrible going through that fluting. So here is the part number for these headlights. I will link all this down in the description where I bought these. So another really cool thing about these Euro lights is they are actually an H4 bulb, which the stock is a 9007 or something. So if you're doing a conversion like I am on the pickup, you're going to use your same plug. This is the H4 plug here. So that is very nice. Another very nice thing about having that H4 headlight is I'm doing mini H1 projectors, and they actually make an H4 adapter plate. So you bolt the projector in, you put your adapter plate on, you tighten the nut, and your projector is mounted. Whereas if we were to mount them in the factory housing, we'd have to cut it all up and make it fit. So they're gonna literally bolt right into these housings. So what we gotta do is get these lights apart. Very, very simple. These are just clipped. There's clip there, there, and then two on the bottom. So you just unclip those, throw it in the oven for, I don't know, 10 minutes at 200 degrees, just to soften the glue around the lens. And then you can pop your lens out and we can mount our projectors. We got the lens off. So be very careful if you're using a screwdriver. I actually had to get it started with this, get it pried just a little bit, but you have to go really, really slow because you can actually chip that glass. So once you get it broke free, get a corner, kind of just walk around it, and you can pull it off. And you can see how much glue is in this headlight. It is packed full. So it was actually pretty tight and pretty hard to get off. So at least we know it'll seal back up fine. So I'm gonna do the same thing to the other headlight, then we can bring them out to the shop, get those projectors mounted, and I'm also gonna paint this chrome housing black. All right, our next order of business is we got to pull off this little bowl here. So that's just simple. Just screw down right through the back, and then you can pull off that bulb holder as well, because we have a new one for the projector. And then we can screw the projector and the shroud together. And I'm also going to use this plate. That's where I'm going to mount my halo on that plate. All right, there it is. We got the shroud on the projector, and it's nice they bolt right on. You don't have to glue them on or anything with these mini H1s. So they actually don't give you screws. So these are a number 6 screw, and it's a 3/4 inch long. So what we're going to use is this rubber gasket that goes on the projector, and then you'll push that through the housing, and then this plate will go right in there, and then you'll just tighten the nut on the back of the projector. Alright boys, there it is, all tightened down. Just a test fit, so don't crank that nut too hard because they actually deform when you tighten them all the way. So just tighten it, just finger tight. So you can see how close that shroud is to the actual headlight bowl. It's touching, just barely touching the top and the bottom, but it's not interfering with anything, and it still tightens down. So that should work just fine. So what I'm gonna do is pull that back out, and then I'm gonna paint this housing, or all this chrome, the reflector bowl. I'm gonna paint that black, and then we can get the halos mounted inside that shroud and put it all back together. So the paint that has worked the best for me is this tractor enamel. So I'm going to use a primer and then a satin black for that bowl. So let's get these scuffed up, get them painted. Alright guys, I'm getting ready to mount these halos onto this ring. So what these halos have is a little mount hole. There's 3 of them. So you take some of this installation wire and you can wrap it through that hole, and I'm actually going to drill a little hole in that black plastic piece and just wrap the wire around it and then twist it together, and that'll hold the halo on without a bunch of glue. All right, we got the projectors mounted and not fully tightened yet. There's a little bit of play in those adapter plates, so before I tighten them all the way down, I want to get them on the truck and powered so I can see where to adjust them, and then we can fully crank that nut down. So now we got to put the lens back on, and I want to figure out what to do with the back to cover everything up. So what I'll probably do for that is I bought these little caps that just go, obviously the wires will go through it, but we'll cap right over the back of the housing there, and we can put all the wires right through this, and it should work pretty good. So I'm going to do a little messing around, get the bulb in, see how much clearance we got, and we can see if this cap's going to work. Alright guys, so if you saw the other wire coming in through this plug right here, I'm pretty sure that's for if you don't have a whole harness. So this is the whole harness I have. This plugs into your factory plug in on the truck, and then it's powered, grounded, everything. So I do believe we do not need that. Just these go into the ballast, and then the ballast plugs into the harness here. So I got those out. What I think I'm gonna do is take these connectors off of both of these and then heat shrink it, and I should be able to fit them back through those little holes in that grommet right there, and it'll be nice and clean and sealed up. And then I'll just cut a hole in here for this grommet, and it should work pretty good. So let's see if I can get these connectors off, heat shrink the wires, and see how it all works out. All right, we got all these wires through, so that should be nice and sealed up. The only thing I'd really think about is if the bulb ever goes out, to change it, I'd have to pop these connectors back off, which not a huge deal. I just wanted it really clean, and that's about as clean as you can get it. So I got to pull all this back apart, get the bulb out, and we got to bake these things again to get the lens sealed back in, and then we can put them all back together and get them finished up. Before I seal these headlights back up, I want to throw them on the truck, power them so I can adjust those projectors like I said. All right, we got the headlights in. The harness is just temporarily put on there, so got it grounded, powered, everything, and this side has the high beam plug on it still. I took that side off. I still haven't put it back on, so we only got one high beam. So let's fire this thing up, see what it does. All right guys, both lights are on, looking good. So there's the output. So you can see it looks like the passenger side is pretty flat, driver's side is kind of angled down. So we'll just take that projector, rotate it until it's flat, and then I'll crank that nut down, and we should be good to go. All right, headlights are ready to go into the oven. So what I'm going to do is just set the lens on the housing, bake them together, because you got to warm up that little bit of glue on the actual lens too. So we'll warm them together, then we'll pull them out, squeeze them together, clip them, and we should be good to go. All right, there they are, all sealed up, good to go. So now I just gotta do the same thing on that light as I did here with the wiring. And then we can throw them on the truck, test them all out, test out the halos, and get the grill on, get the whole front end of this truck complete. All right guys, there it is. So back is done, and that is about as clean as you can get it, I think. Really happy with how that came out. Alright guys, I pulled the bumper off to make it just a little easier to get access to this whole front end for this wiring. So I got the harness pretty much figured out. Got it bolted on here. That side runs over to that headlight, obviously. Power up to the battery, this up to the headlight, and then we just gotta find a little spot for some grounds. So next what we gotta figure out is the controller for the halo. So these are a switchback, so you can, this orange wire will light it amber, the white wire will light it white, and then the black is the ground. So you can hook this orange up to your blinker and it will flash. The halo inside the headlight will flash with the blinker, and then when you turn the blinker off, this white wire will be hooked up to basically your headlights. So when you turn your headlights on or your accessory side of the switch on, it'll glow white. So that's probably how I'll do it. I'll probably hook it into my blinker. All right, we got that little controller just temporarily plugged in. So let's turn the lights on, we'll see the white, and then I also have the orange hooked up to the blinker, so we'll see that. All right, there it is. So it's kind of hard to see the white. You can see the amber with that halo behind that shroud. It looks really, really good. I really like that look. So I think I'm gonna leave that blinker hooked up to that halo and permanently attach these wires over here. We'll mount this up. We can do the other side, and we should be pretty much done with all the wiring. Right, there we go. Front end is all on and complete. Let's turn some lights on and see how it looks. So here's just the running lights. I know it's hard to tell, especially on the camera, the halo behind that shroud. It just kind of looks like a blur, but it actually looks pretty good. It's kind of hard to get a good shot of it, but that's the running lights. Here's the blinkers. I just got the flashers on. So I do have, like I said, I put those little blinkers in the side marker lights before I decided to do the halo. So I kind of like it though with both lights there. And here's the low beams. Right there. There it is on the wall. So here's the high beams. So it's just basically a plate inside that projector that flips up and opens the light. It's the same bulb. So pretty happy with that. We're gonna go outside later on when it gets dark, and we'll take this thing down the road. We gotta adjust the height of the lights, and we'll see the output and see how it looks when we're actually driving the thing. All right guys, here are the headlights. So those are just the running lights. Like I said, the halo behind that shroud, you see it a lot better on camera when it's dark out. Let me throw the blinkers on. There's the blinkers. So the blinkers in the side marker and the actual projector flash a little bit different, which is kind of weird. They're wired identically from the same spot, so I'm not entirely sure why it's doing that, but looks pretty good. And then here is the headlights. Those are with the projectors on. And you can see it's a pretty good light. Truck's at an angle, that's why it's at an angle on the shop. But I'll turn the brights on and show you the brights too. So there's the brights. So let's go for a quick little drive and see how they do when we're driving. All right guys, here's the low beams, high beams here. So you can see these things are really bright, and they have a nice crisp cutoff on the low beam, so you're not blinding everybody. And they're actually aligned pretty good, so probably shouldn't have to mess around with it too much. Another thing I want to show you guys is all my light bars on the front. So that's low beam, high beam, the pods, and the light bar. This thing is freaking bright. There it is, guys. Headlights are done, looking really good and working even better. I'm actually really surprised at how bright and crisp these lights are, these projectors. Definitely a lot better than a factory style headlight, and even better than those LED lights I had in before for the old style. They were just the 5x7 rectangle sealed beams. These are light years ahead of those. So really excited. Really happy I went with these headlights, these projectors. Let's take one quick last look at these bad boys. So that's it for this one, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you in the next video.